Listen to me very carefully. I'm about to tell you something that's going to make you angry. Really angry. Because once you understand what I'm about to share, you'll realize how badly you've been lied to about money your entire life. In 2016, there was this 24-year-old app developer. Kid was brilliant. Built an app that went viral, sold his startup for $25 million. $25 million at 24 years old. Everyone called him a genius. Tech magazines wrote articles about him. His LinkedIn was flooded with congratulations. He was the poster child for the American dream, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Within 5 years, this kid was flat broke. Not just, oh, I'm a little short on cash, broke. I'm talking about selling his personal belongings on Facebook Marketplace to pay rent, broke. Living in a studio apartment that smelled like mold, broke. The kind of broke where you're counting quarters to buy ramen noodles. Now here's what's going to make your blood boil. While this genius was busy losing everything, there was a 58-year-old cafeteria worker at a local university. This woman made $32,000 a year serving food to college students. $32,000. That's what some people spend on a car. But you know what happened to her? She quietly retired at 62 with $3.8 million in investments. $3.8 million. How does someone with millions lose everything while someone earning what society calls chump change ends up financially free? How does that even make sense? It doesn't. Not until you understand what nobody wants to tell you about money. I'm so sick and tired of the lies. I'm tired of the Instagram gurus showing you their rented Lamborghinis. I'm tired of the productivity podcasts telling you to hustle harder. I'm tired of everyone pretending that making money is some mystical, complicated thing that only special people can figure out. Today, I'm breaking down 5 eye-opening money truths that completely changed how I think about wealth. These aren't feel-good platitudes. These aren't motivational quotes you can slap on your vision board. These are brutal, uncomfortable truths that will punch you in the gut. But if you understand these lessons, really understand them, you'll never look at money the same way again. And trust me, you need to hear this. Because every day you don't understand these truths, you're getting further and further away from financial freedom. Insight number 1. Your success isn't fully in your hands. Let me tell you what really happened to that app developer. His success wasn't just skill. Sure, the kid was talented, but his timing was absolutely perfect. He launched his app right when smartphone adoption was exploding. He caught a wave that was building for years before he even knew it existed. Right place, right trend, right viral moment. The algorithm god smiled on him. Apple featured his app. TechCrunch wrote about it. Venture capitalists threw money at him like he was the second coming of Steve Jobs. But here's what nobody talks about. None of that was really in his control. He didn't make the iPhone popular. He didn't create the App Store ecosystem. He just happened to be there when lightning struck. And then what happened? The market changed. Competition skyrocketed. Everyone and their grandmother was building apps. The same algorithms that made him rich started promoting other people. His next 3 projects failed miserably. Not because he suddenly became stupid, not because he lost his skills overnight, because conditions changed and he couldn't adapt fast enough. Meanwhile, that cafeteria worker, she understood something profound that the genius app developer never learned. She invested slowly for 40 years during good markets and bad markets. When tech stocks crashed in 2000, she kept investing. When the housing market collapsed in 2008, she kept investing. When COVID hit in 2020, she kept investing. She understood that success equals skill plus timing plus randomness. And failure equals mistakes plus market cycles plus randomness. The randomness part never goes away. Never. You can be the smartest person in the room and still get crushed by forces completely outside your control. This makes people furious because we want to believe we're in control. We want to believe that hard work always pays off. We want to believe that smart people always win and lazy people always lose. But that's not how the world works, and pretending it is will destroy your financial future. You can shape your odds, but you can't remove luck or risk. That's why long-term consistency beats one lucky break. That's why the boring cafeteria worker ends up richer than the viral app developer. Because she played a game she could control, putting money away consistently regardless of what the market was doing. Insight number 2. Making money and keeping money are opposite skills. This is where it gets really painful. Let me tell you about Jake. Jake was a YouTuber who absolutely exploded overnight. His channel went from 300 subscribers to 2 million in 6 months. His videos were getting millions of views. Brands were throwing sponsorship deals at him. This kid was making $200,000 a month. $200,000 every month. So what did Jake do? He did what every successful person thinks they should do. He doubled down. He bought the Rolex. He got the Tesla. He moved into a penthouse apartment. He started investing in crypto and NFTs because, hey, if he could pick winning YouTube content, surely he could pick winning investments, right? Wrong again. Jake kept playing offense when he should have switched to defense. He kept taking startup-level risks after he'd already succeeded. He thought the skills that made him money were the same skills that would keep his money. But making money and keeping money are completely opposite skills. Getting rich requires taking bold bets. You have to do things other people won't do. You have to take risks. You have to be willing to fail spectacularly. But staying rich? Staying rich is about protecting what you've built. It's about boring diversification. It's about emergency funds. It's about not betting everything on the next big thing. Within 2 years, everything collapsed. The YouTube algorithm changed. His crypto investments went to zero. His NFTs became worthless JPEGs. Jake went from $200,000 a month to negative net worth faster than you can say diamond hands. Compare that to Maria. Maria owned a small accounting firm in Ohio. She never went viral. She never had explosive income growth. She never got written up in Forbes. But you know what Maria did? She built wealth steadily by managing risk carefully. She saved aggressively during her good years. She diversified her investments. She never bet more than she could afford to lose. While Jake was riding the roller coaster from riches to rags, Maria was quietly building a 7-figure net worth with her boring approach. If you keep taking startup risks after you've succeeded, you'll eventually reset your progress back to zero. The market doesn't care about your past wins. It only cares about your next bet. And if you keep making big bets, eventually one of them will wipe you out. This truth hurts because we glorify the risk takers. We celebrate the entrepreneurs who bet everything and win, but we never talk about the thousands who bet everything and lost. We never talk about how many successful people go broke because they couldn't switch from offense to defense. Insight number 3. Saving isn't about sacrifice. It's about power. I'm about to tell you something that will completely change how you think about saving money. Stop thinking about it as sacrifice. Stop thinking about it as depriving yourself of things you want. That's exactly backwards. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah worked at a soul-crushing corporate job for 7 years. Her boss was a micromanaging nightmare. The office politics were toxic. She was working 60-hour weeks for a company that treated her like a replaceable cog, but she couldn't leave. Why? Because she was living paycheck to paycheck on a $75,000 salary. $75,000. That's more than most people make. But Sarah was trapped because every dollar that came in went right back out. Car payment, student loans, rent, credit cards, dining out, shopping therapy to deal with the stress of her horrible job. She was making good money, but she had zero power. Then something clicked. Sarah started building an emergency fund, not because some financial advisor told her to, not because she read it in a book, because she realized that having money sitting in an account wasn't about the money. It was about the choices that money could buy. It took her 18 months of brutal lifestyle changes. She moved to a smaller apartment. She cooked at home instead of ordering DoorDash. She drove her paid-off Honda instead of upgrading to a BMW. Her friends thought she was crazy. "You make good money," they said. "You should enjoy it." But Sarah understood something they didn't. She was buying herself power. When she had 9 months of expenses saved, something beautiful happened. Her boss called a meeting to discuss restructuring, which everyone knew meant layoffs. But instead of sitting there terrified like her co-workers, Sarah did something incredible. She walked into her boss's office and quit. Just like that. No backup job lined up, no safety net except the one she'd built herself. And you know what happened? Within 6 months, she'd started freelance consulting and was making triple her corporate salary with half the stress. Compare that to her co-worker Mike. Mike made more money than Sarah, $85,000 a year. But Mike lived paycheck to paycheck on an even higher income. When the layoffs came, Mike was devastated. He couldn't quit because he couldn't survive without his next paycheck. He ended up staying in a toxic environment for 2 more years, watching his mental health deteriorate because he had no other choice. Saving gives you options, not deprivation. Money isn't about buying stuff. It's choice insurance. Every dollar you save is a no you can afford to say to things you don't want to do. The real flex isn't buying expensive things. Any idiot with a credit card can look wealthy for a month. The real flex is being able to say no. No to the job that's killing your soul. No to the boss who doesn't respect you. No to working for someone else's dreams instead of building your own. But here's what makes me furious. Society has convinced us that saving money is about sacrifice, that it's about depriving yourself of joy. That's propaganda designed to keep you trapped in the system. When you have no money saved, you have no power. You have to take whatever job you can get. You have to accept whatever terms they offer. You're a slave to your next paycheck. Insight. Rapport. Real wealth is quiet. This might be the most important thing I tell you today, so listen carefully. Everything you think you know about wealth is backwards. Completely backwards. I live in a neighborhood where there's this guy named Brad. Brad drives a brand new BMW M5. Brad wears expensive watches. Brad posts pictures of his steakhouse dinners on Instagram. Brad talks constantly about his investments and his side hustles and how he's building wealth. Everyone in the neighborhood thinks Brad is rich. Brad is not rich. Brad is broke. I know this because Brad's lease payments are crushing him. His credit card debt is out of control. He refinanced his house twice to pay for his lifestyle. Brad looks wealthy, but he's one missed paycheck away from financial disaster. Brad is performing wealth, not building it. 3 houses down from Brad lives Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chen is 67 years old. She drives a 2014 Toyota Camry with a small dent in the back bumper. She shops at Walmart. She clips coupons. Her house is modest and her clothes are simple. If you saw her at the grocery store, you'd probably assume she's struggling financially. Mrs. Chen has $1.2 million in investments. Let me say that again. The woman who clips coupons and drives a dented Camry has more than $1 million. The guy with the BMW and the Rolex is drowning in debt. This is what makes me absolutely livid about how our society talks about money. We worship the symbols of wealth instead of actual wealth. We celebrate the people who look successful instead of the people who are successful. Real wealth is invisible. You can't see it. You can't Instagram it. You can't drive it or wear it or show it off at parties. Real wealth sits quietly in investment accounts, compound interest working its magic year after year after year. Mrs. Chen understood something that Brad never learned. Looking wealthy requires spending money. Being wealthy requires not spending money. These are mutually exclusive strategies. You cannot do both at the same time. Every dollar Brad spends on looking rich is a dollar he can't invest. Every payment he makes on status symbols is money that could be growing in the market. Brad is trading his actual future wealth for the appearance of current wealth. Meanwhile, Mrs. Chen made the opposite choice. For 30 years, she chose boring over flashy. She chose investing over impressing. She chose building over buying. And now she has something Brad will never have: true financial security. But here's the really painful part. Our entire culture is set up to celebrate Brad and ignore Mrs. Chen. We make movies about people like Brad. We follow people like Brad on social media. We want to be like Brad. Mrs. Chen is invisible because real wealth is boring. There's nothing sexy about compound interest. There's nothing Instagram-worthy about living below your means. This is why so many people stay broke. They're optimizing for the wrong things. They're trying to look successful instead of being successful. They're playing for applause instead of playing for results. The world praises visible success, but financial security lives in the invisible. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you can stop wasting money trying to impress people and start building real wealth. Insight number 5. Your emotions control 90% of your financial success. Now we get to the part that's going to make you the angriest, because this is where most people destroy themselves financially and they don't even realize it's happening. Let me tell you about my friend Tom. Tom is a smart guy. He's an engineer. He understands math. He understands logic. He had a perfectly rational investment plan, dollar cost averaging into index funds. Simple, boring, effective. Then March 2020 happened. The market crashed 25% in a few weeks. Tom's portfolio went from $200,000 to $150,000. $50,000 just vanished. Tom panicked. He called me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. "I'm pulling everything out," he said. "This is just like 2008. Everything's going to zero. I can't afford to lose any more money." I tried to talk him out of it. I reminded him that market crashes are temporary. I showed him the data from every previous crash. I explained that if he sold now, he'd lock in his losses. He wouldn't listen. He was too scared. Tom sold everything. All of it. He put the money in a savings account earning 0.1% interest and promised himself he'd get back in when things stabilized. You know what happened next? The market rebounded faster than anyone expected. By the end of 2020, if Tom had just done nothing, literally nothing, his portfolio would have been worth $230,000. Instead, he had $150,000 sitting in a savings account. But it gets worse. Tom stayed out of the market for 2 more years because he was afraid of another crash. He missed the entire recovery. He missed 2021's gains. He missed everything. By the time he finally got the courage to invest again, he'd missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars in growth. Now compare Tom to my other friend, Lisa. Lisa invested the exact same way Tom did, but with one crucial difference. She automated everything. Her paycheck automatically transferred money to her investment account. Her investment account automatically bought index funds. She never looked at the balance. When March 2020 happened, Lisa's portfolio crashed just like Tom's. But she didn't know because she wasn't checking. Her automatic investments kept buying more shares while prices were low. When the market recovered, she didn't just get back to even. She was way ahead because she'd bought so many shares at discounted prices. Lisa followed the same rational plan as Tom, but she removed emotion from the equation. Tom tried to time the market based on his feelings. Lisa ignored the market completely. Humans don't follow spreadsheets. We follow feelings, and our feelings about money are usually wrong. When the market crashes, we feel like selling. When the market is soaring, we feel like buying more. This is exactly backwards. We should be buying when prices are low and being cautious when prices are high. But we can't help ourselves. We're wired to follow our emotions, and our emotions are designed to keep us alive in the wilderness, not to make us rich in the modern world. Fear keeps us safe from physical danger, but it destroys us financially. Most financial mistakes happen during emotional moments. When you're scared, you make conservative choices that feel safe but keep you poor. When you're greedy, you make aggressive choices that feel smart but blow up your account. When you're angry, you make impulsive choices that you regret forever. The stock market isn't a rational machine. It's an emotion machine. It goes up when people feel optimistic and down when people feel pessimistic. If you let your emotions drive your decisions, you'll buy high and sell low every single time. You'll do exactly what everyone else is doing, which means you'll get exactly the results everyone else gets, which is not enough. The best financial plan isn't the most mathematically optimized one. It's the one you can actually stick with when everything is falling apart. It's the one that works when you're terrified. It's the one that keeps you invested when every fiber of your being is screaming at you to run. This is why so many smart people stay broke. They think money is about math, but it's really about psychology. They think they need better investment strategies, but what they really need is better emotional control. I want to leave you with something that's going to hurt to hear, but you need to hear it anyway. You don't need the perfect salary to build wealth. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to pick winning stocks or start the next unicorn company. You just need to understand the game and play it consistently. But here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. Most people will never build wealth. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They won't give up the lifestyle that's keeping them broke. They won't stop trying to look rich and start trying to be rich. They won't control their emotions long enough to let compound interest work its magic. They'll keep believing that wealth is complicated when it's actually simple. They'll keep believing that wealth is about luck when it's actually about discipline. They'll keep believing that wealthy people know some secret that they don't know, when the real secret is that there is no secret. The cafeteria worker who retired with millions didn't have any special knowledge. She just did simple things consistently for a very long time. She saved money instead of spending it. She invested in boring index funds instead of chasing get-rich-quick schemes. She ignored the noise and stuck to her plan. The app developer who lost everything had every advantage you could imagine: money, connections, media attention, youth, intelligence. But he didn't understand the fundamental rules of wealth building, so none of those advantages mattered. Start today. I don't care how small. I don't care if you can only save $20 a month. I don't care if you're starting with debt. I don't care if you're 50 years old and feel like it's too late. Start anyway, because the cost of waiting is always higher than the cost of starting. Every day you delay is another day of compound interest you'll never get back. Every month you spend instead of save is a month that could have been working for you for the next 30 years. The game is rigged, but not in the way you think. It's rigged in favor of people who understand these truths and against people who don't. It's rigged in favor of people who can control their emotions and against people who can't. It's rigged in favor of people who think long-term and against people who think short-term. Which side are you going to be on?